are going to take some time here to work through our absolute value stuff that we started chatting about yesterday. The main part of that is what I've got on what's like a larger-than-life sticky note here, or so it seems, which is remembering what the different parts of an absolute value do for my graph, or how they move it. And we'll take a look at a couple of ways we can do this. Get this in here. This is our notes. And so, when we're looking at graphing, I can put it in the calculator. Okay, I will show that again here momentarily. But we also talked about how if I understand my shifts, my transformations, that I usually can get this done without having too much trouble. So, for instance, here on this first one, I've got the absolute value of x plus 2 minus 4. So the plus inside, okay, is going to send me to the left because it's the opposite of what my h value is. So here, I've got left 2, and that minus 4 on the outside is plus k, just says, hey, go the direction this is, which would be down 4. So when I'm trying to figure out my vertex and graph this, if I start at the origin, if I start at 0, 0, and I go left 2 and down 4 and make my point, that's where my vertex is at. Okay, that's where my centerpiece of my graph is going to be. And so once I get there, now the a value is going to tell me my air quote slope and what direction it goes. Since I don't see a number in front of my absolute value, what number's there? 1. So my a value is 1, which means this is going to open up. It also means, since we always make slope a fraction, we can make it 1 over 1, is that from here I'm going to go up 1 and over 1 in each direction. So again, absolute value graphs are going to look like V's. And so I keep following that pattern. This is usually enough. Once I can start to see the V pattern, I can get that graphed in. And so as we do these, I'm just going to keep shifting this around with us a bit. That's what I'm going to keep watching for. Seeing how that works. So if I do that, for instance, then on number 2, we're going to go down this same road here. So I look and I go, okay, ooh. What direction shift is that minus 3? Down, because it's outside my absolute value. So I don't go left or right any, I'm just going down 3. So I go down 3, put it at. My vertex, I didn't go left or right any, so that's 0, but I went down 3. So that can get me my point. So now what that leaves me with is my a value, which is 2, or 2 over 1, which is positive. And I know whenever I get a positive a, it just means we're going to open upward. So, here, rise over run, up 2, right 1, and up 2, left 1. It's up and over, that's why we call it air quote slope. It just means my graph's going to be a little bit skinnier, a little bit steeper than what we've seen on some of the others. So if I get my shifting down first, that's one way to do it. Now, actually on this one as well, I want to go back and refer to the calculator, which is always a nice option. For me, it's more to double check something if I'm not sure, because I think we can get to a point we're not going to need it. But just in case, so if I were doing number 2 on the calculator, so I put the 2 in first because that's not in the absolute value. Absolute value, we had this on the notes yesterday, is going to be, let me scooch this up a bit more so we can see all the buttons. Okay, math. And we're going to arrow over to numeric. And then we want number 1, the absolute value. So I put my x in. Now notice, the minus 3 is outside. If I just write minus 3 right now, it's going to stay in. I see that flashing arrow to the right. So if I go to the right, notice, it closes my absolute value. And now I can put my minus 3. So I can look at the graph if I want to. It looks a lot like the one I have. It opened down there. And as we talked about yesterday, if I look at the table, I want to see my vertex in the middle. Okay, there's my vertex, 0, -3. And notice above, I get the exact same numbers that I have below. In math, we call this symmetry. And that's what all absolute value graphs are. And I could just plot the points. So like -1, -1, 1, -1, 2, 1, -2, -1. So I could get the points off this chart. But like I said, most of the time, I don't think we're gonna have to go that way. Oh dear. So one more time here, okay, with number 3. Again, what I'm going to have you do for a moment here is I want you to attempt to write down what the 2 shifts are. I'm not going to say for a minute. I'm going to freeze up the screen here for those of you in class. And then we'll chat about, once I get my vertex, how that -3 out there is going to change some things. So go ahead, take a moment. I will be doing it on here as we go. And getting my vertex down. And if you want to take that extra step, go ahead and use your A value to try and make your other points and form your V. Give it a shot. And then momentarily here, we will see if our graphs come together or if we need to see what else may be rolling here. All right, so we got our final countdown. A couple more seconds. We'll unfreeze here in class and see what we've got here. Hopefully, you're in the ballpark of what we have here. We had a right 1 shift and an up 2. So if I go right 1 and up 2, that made my vertex 1, 2. And since my A value was -3, I knew my graph was going to open down. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. 1, 2, 3, and over 1. And I can get my V shape. That's basically our whole absolute value graph, lesson, just like that. And then the only other thing we did, move up a little bit here, was find the equation of a graph if I give it to you. And so for these, we talked about how we need the A value, the H, and the K. Now you may think that seems like a lot of work, but if you keep in mind what I have written here just to the right, if I find the vertex, that's H and K, and then I find my air quote slope. So on our first one here, there's my vertex. So I went right 1, 2, 3, and up 1, 2, 3, 4 to get there. So there's my H and K. And then for my A value, I just count to say, okay, how do I get from this dot to one of these? Well, I know it's opening up, so I know my A value is going to be positive. Up 1, 2, over either direction, 1. I don't mess with signs. Okay? The picture of the graph tells me if it's positive or negative. If it opens up, it's positive. If it opens down, it's negative. And so now I've got everything I need to make my equation. Equals A, you could just put 2. 2 over 1 is fine. X, watch carefully, opposite of H. The opposite of 3 is negative 3. And then the plus K just means keep that sign. And we're going to do the exact same thing on our last one, and then we'll chat a little bit about the practice that we've got for today. So I want to keep all my highlights in here. There we go. So again, find your vertex. So I moved left 1. Any left or right movement will be the x value of my vertex. I didn't go up or down any here, though. So order matters. That's my H and K. And then again, I notice my A value is going to be negative because we're opening down. So I go, okay, let's see. So down 2, and 1, 2, 3. And either way gets me the same thing. 1, 2, 3. So we can get fractions. That is A-okay. And then we just follow along. A, X, opposite of H, opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. And then if you want to put the plus 0, you can, but if we don't, we just assume it's there. So that's what we're taking a peek at as far as absolute value goes and how this would work. So what I'm going to